are grateful to our sponsors, Kelly Stafford with Stafford Tree Service and also Kow Cow Manure. If you need your trees trimmed locally, remember Stafford Tree Service at staffordtreesvc.com, and please visit Kow Cow Manure, that's K-O-W. Remember, both of the contact details are in the description below. Talking about the impatiens, and you might be impatient for your impatiens. The impatient is a plant that takes shade quite well. This plant probably originated in Africa, though one of my Indian friends, Kumar, originally told me that these are often used in mass gardens in India. And you might wish to use it in your mass garden for a ground cover in wherever you're at. Florida, it's often used as a perennial. It can take down to near freezing. If it goes way down below freezing, they normally are used as an annual. But it could be a perennial in some of the more tropical areas. The impatient is a plant that is vibrant in color and it flowers every day. Very few plants will flower every day, and this is one that will. There's very few plants that will grow in almost pure shade and still flower. The impatient has got to be, maybe in my opinion, the #1 plant for growing in low light and still giving you vibrant color. Now impatiens come in pink, they come in white. This one is kind of a neat little basket, a hanging basket that has both red and white, and you can almost see it's almost to some degree of an orange to red. So you'll get all kinds of color combinations, and because of that, it really lends itself to a hanging basket where it can really be a focal point. Now, you want to make sure it has good soil, and I would improve the soil. You know, the whole routine we talk about on almost every one, peat, cow manure, make that really improved soil and you'll get really improved results. If you try to plant it in just, some of the crummy backyard soil, you'll get crummy backyard results. So really improve that soil. Remember that peat moss, remember the cow manure, remember the organic matter. Why? Because if we can increase that moisture holding capacity, we're going to have better results. If this gets real dry, it will die. So you have to keep this one where you're either having a watering can or a hose or some vehicle. I don't care if it's just a cup of water. Bring your Greenthumb cup, pour some water on it on a regular basis like we have here, and you will have better results. So don't let it get real dry. We talked about light level. They'll flower in near full sun, but in full sun, you've got to watch them a lot more often. If it's really hot in that afternoon, they'll tend to wilt a little bit. They won't be as turgid as they could be. So you want to really improve that moisture level in the soil so that soil water is available to your plant. And a lot of people don't think about that, but improving your soil has got to be important, especially for the impatient. Now, we talked about it originating probably in Africa, in Asia, India. Many of those areas this plant has been ubiquitous for a long time. But in the Americas, probably in the last 20th century, they've done a lot of hybridizing to come up with double flowers and come up with different color combinations and larger flowers. To me, it looks like a miniature rose almost. So it's one that I think adds a lot for the shady spot in your yard. And almost everybody has an area on your porch, on your patio, on your little deck or garden where it's shady. And you say, well, I can't get many plants to flower. But the impatient will. So if you've got that area that's underneath the tree and you still want to have something pop out with bright color, the impatient is one that you should think about. Almost anywhere else in the world, do remember the moisture, and of course I'd fertilize it fairly often, maybe every 2 or 3 weeks with a good water-soluble fertilizer if you're doing that, or I'd add a good organic fertilizer when you're mixing it up, when you're starting that soil. Mix that soil and improve it with some long-lasting fertilizer. Some people like to use some of the time-released fertilizer. Whichever you do, remember it's a fairly heavy feeder to get your best results. Impatiens are a great plant that I think more people should be using all over the world. And who doesn't need more flower power? You know, not just for cruises, but for people who are having in their own backyard. You ought to think about having that flower power and color in your yard as well. We want to thank all of you that tell your neighbors and friends about our show. And because of you, we've had, well, I guess 250,000 people watch. We appreciate you doing that, and we appreciate you being a subscriber. Till next week, thanks for watching.
Home.